Why are you pursuing a master's in this field? When I think about this question, I think of career progression and career growth. When talking to colleagues, they all told me that obtaining the MLIS opens doors, but knowing how to play your cards right can lead to a rewarding career and successful career. I want to obtain my master's to gain new skills and perspective and apply those skills along with my life experiences to the field. There is a current lack of Latinx representation in this field, and I believe that putting yourself out there and just trying can show other people that this field is an option. I began this journey before I knew it would be my journey when I was an undergraduate student at the University of California, Irvine. I worked as a student checkout assistant my senior year at the reference desk at the Langston Library, and from day one, I instantly enjoyed my job. I never considered it real work because I enjoyed being there so much. It was refreshing to feel a part of a community. I had never had that before, so feeling like welcome and a feeling of belonging was new to me. Being in that position really made me think that it could be an option for me, that working at a library was a pathway I could take seriously. I had my fair share of odd jobs post-college, like many do, but it wasn't until the pandemic when I really took a step back and reflected on what brought me joy, and I thought about what could be a career for me. It was this deep reflection time that was a key point in my life, and I thought about what I really wanted. And I'd rather try and fail than never attempt and live with that regret or worry. Why are you pursuing this career pathway? Who or what inspires your passion as a future information professional? When I think about this question, I think of my parents' journey and their limited education opportunities due to poverty. My parents encouraged me to go to college and fully supported me when I decided to leave home at 17 to fully immerse myself in the college experience. As a first-generation student, I had to figure it all by myself. And in those moments, it feels isolating and you don't know how to ask for help or you're too shy to ask for help. But as I got older, I realized that, it's not a single incident. It's like a universal experience. And I want to be a resource for someone who feels that way. I want to be a resource for someone. When considering who inspires me in the professional world, I think of librarians such as Michael Treats and Pura Belpre. Pura Belpre became the first Puerto Rican librarian at the New York Public Library in 1921. Her goal and mission was to bring in immigrant children into the library and inspire them to read and dream. Her book, Pérez y Martina, was one of the first books written in Spanish. This also jump-started the bilingual storytime movement, a movement to, promote inclusivity and bring people in. I think that there is a misconception and a stereotype that people, especially Latino people, don't read, that they don't care. But we know that's not true. These misconceptions impose barriers and limitations. Michael is also very special because he inspires me to work on my compassion and empathy. His whole outlook on life and perspective is inspiring. He brings awareness to real things affecting the field, such as mental health and diversity, or lack of diversity. His belief that we never know what someone is going through and to always extend a helping hand is very humbling. Creating a safe environment for someone else is a real way to give back to the community. And being a resource for someone else is never a waste. What is your career path in this profession? I am currently working at a small county public library that is a part of a consortium. I am a technical assistant, and I have learned the internal work that goes unnoticed by the public, such as financials, receiving of materials, and cataloging. I hope with the new skills I acquire with this degree that I can become a public librarian or work in library administration. I have not considered which audience yet, but I am leaning towards children's librarianship or maybe adult. I want to show my community that there are different pathways and different career tracks. The recent diversity Gallup study that was shared by the ALA found 7 main key findings, one of them being that increasing awareness and education about librarianship can create a stronger foundation for future librarians. Mentorship is also invaluable and can break down barriers and encourage people of color who seek this field. I want to be a resource for others and to encourage others to keep trying. There is no right path to success, and what success means to one person might not be what you consider success, so it's all relative. You belong here and you deserve to be here. Hello, so I am here with my department manager, who is the manager of the technical services area, and her name is Katrina Sadler, and I had a few questions for her. Beginning with, what made you consider librarianship?
Well, I had a lot of thoughts, like a lot of people over the years, from being a small kid to an adult. I mean, I was one of those people who wanted to be a vet. But as time moved on, I had different thoughts about things. I am also one of those people that hung out in libraries from very young. I had a lot of freedom, so I would literally go down to the main library in San Francisco when I was probably like 11 years old by myself and hang around the library, So I think libraries have sort of always been there in the background. It's a place that I always felt really safe, was super curious about, like a lot of people. I didn't really even think about the people working in the library, honestly. It was just the books themselves and how pretty the building was and sort of the aesthetics of library. And that first drew me in. So, it was just kind of the setting of the scene. And as I got older, I took beginning classes, like at San Francisco State, like Library 101, and I actually got interested in the actual academics of libraries. And so that sort of was the beginning. It was both the aesthetics of libraries that drew me in, and then the quiet and everything that kind of goes along with libraries. Yeah. The excitement. Yeah. Seeing new books and new things, and just being free to explore. So libraries were definitely always an exploration space for me.
Did you ever attend programming while you were at the libraries?
Oh, good question. No, I didn't actually. No.
You're there for this materials.
Yeah. I actually asked my mom one time a long time ago, did you ever go to like story time? And she's like, I don't remember doing that. And we lived on one of the streets that actually had a library, and I don't even remember us ever going to that library on our street, down the street. I always went down to the main.
The main branch.
Yeah. I always like the big version of the library.
The big one.
Yeah.
Second question was, what were your goals when you began your career?
Well, I guess my goals would be tied into what I thought I was going to do. So I got a master's in anthropology on top of a master's in library sciences, because I wanted to work in a science library. At least I thought I did. Yeah. I either wanted to work in a straight, all science library, or specifically an anthropology library. Well, those jobs are very few and far between. Yeah. It's hard to break into academics in respect to librarianship. So as time moved on, and I sort of dove into the profession, my goals kind of changed. But originally, it was because I really wanted to vibe with science and people, and again the place. I always loved the Academy of Sciences in San Francisco, so I actually volunteered there when I was going to library school, and thought for sure that was what I was going to do. I was really interested in the very specifics of. And bringing the books and bringing the things to people, the bringing the science out of the library, and hopefully in terms of diversity, getting people involved and being interested in what the museums had. But like I said, it was really obvious really, really quickly as life just sort of moved on that there were way more jobs in the public sphere. Yeah. And that's kind of where everything just popped off, I did also do a stint in a prison library, which also was really interesting. I thought that might be the future as well. Didn't pay so well. Yeah. So that really wasn't something I could float, especially being older. I didn't start this when I was 20. Yeah. Where I could move through and be generous with my years. Yeah. In terms of like being able to explore. So I've explored many avenues. Like I say, prison librarianship. I did do a little version of academics in a college setting, which I liked a lot, but that didn't go anywhere. So I kind of just went with the flow of what was happening. What was available. And took advantage of what was happening in the moment, and just sort of leapfrogged from there, from place to place, until I found my resting place, I think, which is the two things that I'm doing now. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's interesting. And when I think about prison libraries and the funding, it must be very limited. Well, or is it like flexible?
Well, you mean like in terms of funding the library itself? Yeah. No, there definitely were challenges. I mean, you had a very strict budget from the state, and you could only buy so much. But we did what we could with what we had. I mean, I remember buying a large quantity. I know this came up the other day. A large quantity of book tape. Because there was going to be like, we bought like 100 rolls so that we wouldn't have to deal with like not being able, because you had to go through a lot of red tape to be able to purchase things in a library setting in a prison.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was very rewarding, and I got to learn about some law, librarianship.
That's cool.
Some of it was really interesting, civil and criminal.
Criminal law.
So
that's cool. And then my final question would be, what advice do you have for aspiring librarians?
I have one main one, which is to please keep trying.
Yeah.
Believe me, when I started, I got my degree quite a few years before I actually started trying to get a job. Mainly because I was just still happy what I was doing, but I'm also sort of timid in that. I was like, well, I'll just start when I have to, when something makes me, and that is what happened. The job went away, and I was like, well, I guess I better get out there. Yeah. So my advice is that take every opportunity, and this is going to be really obvious, but take every opportunity that comes along. Parlay that into whatever's next. It may take you 15 steps. It may take you 5. Everybody's journey is different. Yeah, absolutely. Because I would see people around me. Like, I just got out of library school and I got a job. It's like, oh my God, what are you talking about? Yeah. Like it took me how many 9 jobs to get to where I wanted to be and where I felt like I could grow and move through the profession in the manner that I wanted. So it's different for everybody, but definitely do not turn down anything. If it's 20 hours, I cobbled together, for almost 70 years, I cobbled together 3 different 20-hour-a-week jobs.
Yeah, 2 part-time.
Wow. Yeah, I had 3 part-time jobs at one point. They were all permanent. Yeah. So just 20. And I just did it. Other people do it. They have a 20-hour-a-week job, and then they take the on-call stuff, right? So it's like however it makes most sense for you. I have found every library in Northern California that I worked at, which was ultimately 10? So almost 11. Very accommodating, I have to say. I was really surprised. And I can't work that day. Once you get in there, once you get in. So take whatever it is and then try to figure it out once you're inside it. That's the advice. Yeah. Because most places are pretty expansive. Yeah. And they're like, okay, you can work 2 to 5. That's fine. That works out. You can do the
They're
desk.
willing to work with you.
Yeah. And that's not just one place. That was 3 places at one point juggling. And then I had a 4th job. That was a night job.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, the hustle was real for 8 years. And like I say, now I've slowed down, but absolutely. Yeah. Take whatever you can. And if it ends up being 6 months in this awkward but workable situation until you get the next one where that works better. And also my other advice, which is tied to that, is keep on interviewing. I know it's hard. It's hard because I was working 3 jobs and that 4th job at night and going to interviews and being turned down for jobs. But never take it personally. You never know what's going on in a space that, they're like, I've had people yawn at my interviews. I've had people,
oh my gosh.
I've had the feeling sometimes that, they're like, I don't know. We don't know if we need you in our organization. Yeah. I don't take it personally. That's fine. Yeah. Have I left interviews crying before? Yes. Where I felt like, oh wow, that did not go well. And then there's ones that I was like, oh, that did not go well, and then I got the job, right? And other ones where you feel for sure, oh man, I killed it, and it's like, nope, didn't get that job either. Yeah. So it's just keep trying, be tenacious, whatever that means for you. Give yourself the space and don't take it personally. Yeah. As long as you keep trying, something's going to work out eventually.
And in a personal note, as a person of color, how do you feel libraries have treated you, or you have felt in these, spaces? As also as a manager now, you climbed the ladder, and now you're at admin level. How do you feel that has gone for you?
Sure, yeah, no, I felt different things working in different places. I've definitely felt isolated before, but I didn't let that, stop the learning journey, right? Because I still learned in the space. Of course, there's going to be negativity. I mean, the library profession is quite cutthroat in its own way, and I'm just not a cutthroat person, so I never really engaged in that. But I've had weird incidents at every job, because it's just work ultimately, no matter what the environment is. So as a person of color, I felt sort of out of place sometimes. Yeah. I've felt out of place out in the real world before. I've been told I'm articulate. Oh, what? Did you just say I was articulate? You know, crazy, you know, so what are you going to do with
the
that?
Microaggressions,
Yeah, you know, maybe, you know, so it's like, that has definitely happened. And, you know, even within, you know, people of color, you know, BIPOC people, there's been, you know, sometimes it feels like, you know, you can be the only one. Like, okay, there can only either be one Latina or one black. It's got to be one of y'all. It can't be both of you at the same time. You know, I felt that too.
That's
where it's like, look, I'm not gonna fight over a job. You know what I mean? It's like, you know. So I felt all that, but again, did not stop the journey at all. It's just like keep on keeping on. You know, I could put food on the table today this week and put gas in the car, and I can get to the next thing.
Yeah,
it's all good.
Keep moving.
Yeah.
That's good.
Don't let anybody stop you.
Thank you, Katrina.
No problem. Appreciate you.